Visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. What it is and why it matters today on the Dailyist Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Dailyist Show, a show not just for rental housing providers or operators of rental housing, but anybody looking for more time wealth, more freedom, more white space on your calendar. Welcome to the Dailyist Show. My name is Mark Dolfini. I am your coach for the next 8 or so minutes, but don't worry, I won't be blowing you up and calling you like a good coach should be doing. That's going to be another. You know what? We're going to talk about that another time. The difference between a coach and a teacher and a guru and all these different things, and a mentor, all these different things. There is differences, and I think I talked about that maybe in a previous episode, but maybe not at length. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about today specifically about visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, what it is, why it matters, and why it should matter to you. So if you'd like to join the discussion, you can head over to Facebook. I put it in the show notes of the facebook.com/groups/Time Wealthy VIP, and you can join the discussion there. But why does it matter? What is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic? First and foremost, why does that matter? Why should it make a difference to you? Well, if you are about lifelong learning, which you should be, your head should be nodding up and down, and then lifelong learning is about taking in new information and obviously being able to implement it, because implementing learning is great, but knowledge is only power when knowledge is actionable or action is taken on it. So I would know, because I for years would take a lot of time honing my skills only to do nothing with them. So do exactly nothing with them. So it does take action. Actionable knowledge is power. So when I started listening to a lot of audiobooks and learning lots of different things and going to different courses and things like that, but I rarely learned as much as when I was actually sitting down and making time to read a book. Now, reading for me is much more of a visual activity, obviously, but I just didn't seem to learn as much as when I was listening to a book. And I was like, that's really interesting, because I've listened and read to the same book, but I didn't get near as much out of the learning. My experience was different from listening to the book than actually reading it. So for years, I thought that I was a visual learner. I was visually oriented, and I just that's really what it is, because I need my eyeballs to actually read the book. But then years later, they started coming out with electronic devices, Kindles or whatever, where you could read the books on that, right? And I was thinking, man, this is awesome. You can actually read, you can download like 5,000 different books, and, you can read through them on some sort of tablet or a phone even. But the interesting thing was, I still didn't have the same experience as when I was actually reading a physical book. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the, holding the screen, wherever the hell my phone is. I don't know where my phone is. Anyway, but assuming I have a phone and I'm scrolling it, that act of reading, even though I could take notes and bookmark and do the same things I could do in a physical book, it wasn't the same experience for me. So that taught me something interesting, that the actual feel of the book is really important to me, which is also why I like to physically write. So that's when I really started to understand, and I was introduced later by a book by Michael Brooks. The name of I'm going to forget the name of the book real quick. I'm trying to see if I've got it here handy, but Instant Rapport by Michael Brooks. I don't see the book up there, but it's an old school book. It's a fantastic book, but that introduced the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. If your eyes are looking up and to the right, or, up and to the left or right, or, that sort of thing. But are you accessing visual parts of your brain, audible parts of your brain, or the kinesthetic parts of your brain? So VAK is what it was called. And that was where I was introduced to this idea of being visual, auditory, or kinesthetic in terms of your learning and how we interact with the world, how we bring in information from our world. So I recognized that even though I thought I was a visual learner, the really interesting thing was, I don't learn unless I actually take time and stop and put my hands on the keyboard or do the actual physical thing. I'm a kinesthetic learner. And I think a lot of people are. So not a lot. I mean, I'm not going to say most people, but I'm just going to say there's a lot more people who think that they're visual when they're actually kinesthetic. Or you may actually be an audible learner. Someone has to tell you something in order for you, like you could read it and it doesn't stick. You could like try to fumble your way through it, on your own, but it doesn't stick. It's not until someone tells you how to do it that that's going to stick for you. You're an audible learner. You're an auditory learner. So this understanding visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learning style of wherever you're at is really important for you to recognize within yourself, because in my own particular case, I just thought, well, maybe I'm just stupid. I'm just stupid and slow. I am stupid and slow, but not more so than most. I'm just saying it's important for me to actually see something, right? Or more important for me to actually feel it and do it. Okay. So I'm going to skip over from our learning style for just a second, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, and I'm going to go into something different. Okay. So in my learning style, just as an example, so like here's one of my favorite books, Jack Canfield, The Success Principles, and you'll see I've got a physical book, of course. Then I've got it all tabbed, and on any one of these particular pages, I've got it underlined, and little obscene comments to the left and right. Pretty much in any page of this book is all like that. I've marked. It's all of my books are like that. I have to physically write and feel the pen to the paper in order for me to learn it. And sometimes I'll rewrite it, sometimes I'll put it in my own words, but whatever it is, that's how I learn. That's what's important for me. But one other thing, I know there's a lot of people out there who are doing affirmations, and if you are in that side of things in terms of reprogramming yourself, your subconscious, I applaud you, because that takes a little bit of it takes a lot of discipline, and it takes a little bit of courage to recognize that you may have self-sabotaging, self-defeating, self-punishing behaviors going on in your world that are tied to limiting beliefs that you are trying to change using affirmations. Here's why it's important to do these affirmations with the lens of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. If you are a visual learner, then a vision board would be fantastic for you. You look up, you see, your dream car with your dream house on the beach, whatever. Like you could see that, and it's important for you to see it. I also need to see it, but guess how I need to see it? I need to see it in writing, because I've written it down, and I remember exactly how I felt when I wrote these down. And this is right off camera, but here's some affirmations that I read as I'm reading them, all day long. I'm a great coach. I'm a great speaker. I'm an elite coach. Like these are things that I'm reaffirming within myself. But it's also important that I feel it. It's also important not just to feel it, tactically. Is that right? Tacitly? Whatever. Anyway, that I actually feel it, right? But I also actually feel it in my emotions, right? It's not just feeling in terms of touching, it's feeling in terms of emotions. So if you're going through affirmations, or if you're going through this, like where you're reprogramming your self-conscious or subconscious, keeps getting self-conscious, that you're reprogramming your subconscious, then it's going to be really important for you to also dial in based on what your most dominant feature is, whether it's visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. So if you are an audible learner, then it's going to be really important for you to hear your affirmations over and over and over. Maybe replay it to your subconscious over and over and over on a replay, or that you feel that if you're a kinesthetic learner, that you need to bring yourself into that emotion that you're going to feel when you're standing in front of your dream house, or when you're driving your dream car, right? Or what it looks like as as you see the glistening of the paint job of your brand new whatever, and you see the leather seats and all this other stuff. So it's really important that you use the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, what Tony Robbins would refer to as your modalities, when you are going through your affirmations and reprogramming your subconscious. So that's why that's important. It's incredibly important, so you can get the most mileage out of your affirmations. That's all I have for today, guys. I am going to go home. I was out in the field today, and I'm going to take a shower. So I hope you guys are placing a value on your free time, because, of course, if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great day. See you again next time.